Not often do you get to do exit interviews on a podcast of someone that's been really beloved in New York City, but I'm honored that I get to do one with Sam Schwartz, or as you might know him in the Daily News, Gridlock Sam. And Gridlock Sam, I gotta say, I got the notification that you were retiring. You wrote your last column this weekend. What's the decision? And tell us more about that column this weekend.
Yeah, well, I've been writing for almost 33 years for the Daily News, and I think times have changed, and they've changed enough so that it's time for me to start thinking about doing some other things. I've pretty much done it all with the Daily News, and there may be some other market that I look at, but at the moment I'm starting a 1-month vacation just to chill out. I've had enough of traffic for all these years.
Well, I got to ask you about the time there wasn't traffic, because how did you write covering a pandemic when literally no one was on the street?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting because obviously there weren't traffic jams, but it turned out people were changing their traffic patterns. There was also a change in transit schedules and things like that. And I was also writing about research we were doing about COVID in transit and other stuff. Somehow always managed to find an angle to have a story there. And it turns out that pretty quickly, a lot of people were avoiding transit and getting in their cars. And that meant we actually did have traffic on the highways, and the expressways were much heavier because we were all ordering deliveries, from Amazon or some online deliveries. So truck traffic had remained pretty constant even during the heyday of the pandemic.
Well, I'm also, I took a picture of the Horace Harding Expressway when it was pretty crowded back in 2020 and not many people were on the sidewalk, so I had a good view of that. But I've got to ask you this, because in your 33 years, traffic's definitely changed, right? And now you've seen streets be cut off due to the green streets, if you will, that Bloomberg had. I mean, how much change in 3 decades did you guys actually see, Gridlock Sam?
Yeah, dramatic changes. So when I started writing, essentially you had cars, trucks, buses, and taxis. And those were the 4 that made up the traffic on the roads. Starting around 2010, 2011, we had car share. We had Uber, Lyft, Via, Juno, Get came on the market. And now if you continue, Revel is now entering the rideshare market. At the same time, deliveries, micro deliveries were increasing. So there's an interesting statistic. During the Bloomberg years, traffic volumes went down, but traffic speeds got worse. And that's because during mostly the de Blasio administration, they allowed the proliferation of so many of Ubers and Lyfts and others. Now what we see, especially with the pandemic, is micro-transit. We're seeing people on stand-up scooters or these one-wheelers or e-bikes or mini motorcycles, Vespa-like scooters, and others. So it's more complicated now, the mix of traffic, than it's ever been. And if people are wondering, is traffic as bad as ever or worse than ever, they're right. It's worse than ever. And part of it is all the things that I mentioned, but also truck volumes are at 110% of what they were pre-pandemic. And every truck has an impact on traffic of 2 to 3 cars. So that's an enormous impact. The expressways are absolutely filled with traffic. Major highways are moving as slow or slower than they ever have.
Well, I got the privilege to put you on the air with John Catsimatidis over the years, and I know you're close to Debbie Duhame. The traffic buddies probably stick together there. But I got to ask you, how did you get the nickname Gridlock Sam? I never knew.
Yeah, well, in 1980 there was a transit strike, or we knew that there was going to be a strike. And 14 years earlier, in 1966, there was a transit strike, and the police were in control. And they did a terrible job. And I knew that we could do a better job at the old traffic department. There was actually a traffic department in those days. And so I knew I needed a hook for City Hall to be afraid of. So I didn't make it one word. I made it two. It was two words: grid lock prevention plan. And within a few days, the media heard about it. The strike happened April 1st, 1980, and it lasted for 11 days. And when the media heard the word gridlock, they went wild, and soon dictionaries, encyclopedias, and others were calling me. Linguists wanted to know where the word came from.
So you're the godfather of gridlock, even the gridlock in Washington term, is that right?
Yeah. You know, in the beginning, and even to this day, when I hear the President of the United States, and every single president since 1980 has used the term in a speech about the gridlock in Washington, I still get chills knowing that those words would not have been uttered by the President of the United States had I not included it in the strike plan.
Well, I'm glad you were able to share a few minutes. I know you have to run in a couple minutes, but where can people find you now? I know you said you're going to take a couple months to quote unquote chill off, but will you start writing elsewhere? I mean, where can we find your writing? Yeah,
I haven't made any decisions yet, but you know, I will work on building up my website, which is not very good, www.gridlocksam.com. Right now, it doesn't pay to go there, but in a little while it will. And I don't know, maybe I'll do something on my own, or, you know, I have to tell you that I already have offers from others that would like to continue the Gridlock Sam column. But I'm also celebrating my 75th birthday this week, so it may be time to slow down just a little.
Will you miss the Daily News? I mean, you're a staple of the Daily News.
Well, you know, times change, and I'm ready for the next chapter.
Gridlock Sam, thank you so much for joining us. And yes, we got to keep an eye on what you're doing, because now we're dealing with congestion prices, and the future is here. And I hope we get to read what you got to say about it as we get in the next few years here. So I will definitely keep an eye out.
Great, Alex. Great talking to you.
And on Twitter, what is it? Gridlock Sam? What is your Twitter exactly?
Yeah. At Gridlock Sam. #Gridlock Sam.
#Gridlock Sam. That's Gridlock Sam Schwartz, the exit interview that I'm very excited to have today, as he is, putting the pen down from the New York Daily News. And Sam, thanks again for joining me tonight.
You're quite welcome.
I'm Alex Garrett, and that has been our 5-Minute Fix.